so sorry that I couldn't be there with everyone virtually. But as you know, I'm working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that we bring this film into production by early 2026.
What's good, everybody? How you doing? This is Warren Dews. I'm the Vice President of Capital Region Independent Media and the publisher of the Ravinia News Herald. Also, we have something called In Play that I'm going to talk about more. As you know, I do something called Community Conversations, where I interview people to get to know them. I interview different artists or different advertisers, and we do something else called Ask the Expert or to meet your neighbor. Today is another day I believe that it could check a lot of boxes because the people I'm talking to are experts in what they do. But I'm here to talk about more of the in play. You know, as you most of you know, I'm very into the arts, and I went to high school music and art in New York City fame. And I always say I'm not going to get deep into it, but that changed my life. I'm only here as vice president of anything because the arts took me out of the troubles that I would have been in. But I'm here to talk to some people about a new project they're doing, and I'm going to introduce my friend's friend Malachi. Tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, Malachi. My story is simple. A Brooklyn native, born and raised. I started writing when I was 6, 7. Started with poetry, and then eventually just like little stories, like short stories with my brothers. And then eventually, after I finished college, I majored in psychology. I just went on to direct and been directing ever since. So,
Cool, cool, cool. Now I'm gonna let the Brooklyn thing go because I'm from the Bronx, but we you know we're still,
ah,
still New York. Boogie
okay.
Downs in the house, so you know we're gonna let that ride a little something, something. So, Christina, tell everybody who you are.
My name is Christina Brown. I'm currently an indie film producer and screenwriter. I came out of the corporate America slash contracting world where everything was a lot formal. And I had a um, spiritual awakening several years back. And the universe was telling me, hey, Christina, you need to get into the creative space because I've always been cranking up numbers or working on bigger projects. And then about 3 years ago, I kind of made the move into the space and stuff like that. I'm always learning. I'm still learning. I'm still a student, which I'll talk a little bit more. And I'm here.
Awesome, awesome. So, Joy.
Hello. I'm Joy Walsh. I am a New York native, Brooklyn, Long Island, in Queens now. I'm really about New York and the immigrant stories that we tell. I'm a first gen Barbadian American, and it really forms around how I tell stories. I'm a producer. I started out in the arts, which is why I'm so attracted to Broadway. I started out in plays and musicals, and then I pivoted towards film because I fell in love with the storytelling aspect and have been producing nonfiction documentary work and made the move back into narrative, which is where my heart is. And I produce indie shorts, features, and this beautiful short that we're working on right now.
Awesome. And I want to shout out to my sister Amy, who went to LaGuardia with me. I'm older than her, so she graduated in 90. I think I left in 88. But she's the executive producer, and she's the reason why I'm here. She connected with me. But let's get things started. So Malachi, tell everybody what this is all about. You got something going on. You're trying to raise some money for it. Talk to me about that. You got a
Yeah,
it's a short film.
absolutely. So the movie Last Performance, we followed the story of Willie Montgomery, a blues musician who essentially takes a break from the limelight and returns to the limelight after being gone for 8 years, essentially for his last performance. And while he's on stage, he's kind of face to face with, his regrets, the griefs, the love lost, and ideally just like, the haunting reality of like the choices, we make as artists when we're chasing the bigger dream. Yeah, something that a lot of artists could relate to. Like we all kind of are chasing the same goal, same dream, and sometimes a lot of us become overtly obsessive over it. So that's ideally what the story is at the base level, just kind of following somebody who's obsessed with a dream and the consequences that come from it.
So where did you get this idea from? Just what
Mm. I mean, I've sat on this idea for years. I think it comes from a lot of places. Like this, the vision for it stems from a lot of places. From my personal experiences with grief myself, losing my older cousin, who was a big piece to me going into film. So just losing him and kind of what that turned me into as an artist. So, that's one direction of looking into it. Of course, like, the people I know in my personal life, the, connections I've made with people kind of feeding into creating these characters, and outside influences of, like, a lot of poets like Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, Edgar Allan Poe. Um, the list goes on and on. That there's so many different people who influenced it, and the idea just stemmed from like years of just like meeting people and just experiencing things and listening to music and running into James, who was our lead. All those moments kind of came together to create this project.
So you mentioned Langston Hughes. A shout out to the Qs. He's definitely a
Mhm.
Q. So I'll put that out there.
Mhm.
So Joy, what made you? How did you get involved with Malachi in working with this? And tell us what you're bringing to the table to help.
So I met Malachi in school. We both are Brooklyn College film alumni.
Mhm.
And I kind of met Malachi right in the beginning when I
Yeah.
first came into the film program. Amazing, shout out Brooklyn College,
Yeah.
amazing film program producing really hardworking, talented people, and Malachi is one of them I met there. And
Mhm.
I worked with Malachi before, and he reached out because my thesis was a musical, and I
Mhm.
wrote and directed and produced my thesis, and it did really well. And so Malachi was like, "Yo, Joy, this is the one project I really want you on."
Yeah.
Because you know what I want and you can
Mhm.
understand the journey as a producer as well. And I think that's where I lend my expertise for Malachi is that I know what you need to do to get to make a musical. And
Mhm.
it's not exactly the same because I think Malachi's has a little bit more cinema than mine did, but the musicality, the Broadway, the those worlds kind of mixing and in producing that, in a way that looks beautiful and that has a soul, a beating heart. That's a producer's job. And so I felt that I can serve him best in this production and help him create this mastermind. And he's done so much already. And just to be able to support him and hold him up to the story that this big story that it deserves is like such an honor and a pleasure.
So Christina, tell me how you got involved.
Backstage.com.
Yeah.
Literally. I was, I think before I met Malachi, I was still writing. I'm still emerging screenwriter. I just came out of a Kickstarter fundraiser, so I was a campaign manager for a completely different web series. And I still said to myself, I want to get into producing. And I went on Backstage, and this had to be around the spring of this year. And I was like, producer, I was like, okay, let me go and try to connect with Malachi, and we did. To be honest with you, what drew my interest to this, and I told this Malachi a couple of times, is I think the cultural phenomenon that Sinners played in filmmaking and Black filmmaking this year, kind of I guess changed the landscape. But once I talked to Malachi about this particular production, I came to realize that it's two completely different stories, kind of in the same time era, but completely different stories, different ways of storytelling. I think that what got to me about this script was that it's more of a psychological thriller that takes the audience on some type of mind-bending journey about what it is to be an artist, to be a human being. It's rooted in love, it's rooted in magic, it's rooted in sacrifice. But ultimately, like Malachi mentioned earlier, is rooted in cultural legacy. So there's a lot of influences. There's your Gregory Hines, there's your James Baldwins, there's your Langston Hughes, and it kind
Mhm.
of bring it together into like a melting pot and infuse that with like music,
Mhm.
language, art, and culture into something more profound.
And so now you mentioned James Brown Orleans,
Yes, James
and
Brown.
he's the main character of this, and he's performed the Lion King. I think it was 26 years he's been doing that.
26 years. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm.
That's Yeah, that's crazy. And
Yeah.
so, how did you bump into him, and how did you get him to sign on to this?
James, James is he's a treasure. We met a few years ago. I was working the camera department with this sound studio, and essentially they were shooting a segment for him where he essentially just sits in front of the camera and talks about his life or his relationship with his mom. And I remember we did about like 9 or 10 takes, and each time I just wasn't paying attention to the camera because I was just so locked into like everything he was saying. Like he's in Joy and Christine could tell you, like he's the kind of person where it's like he can tell you about like his grocery list, and you're sitting locked in
Oh,
listening to
great.
everything. Like he, yeah, like it doesn't matter what it is, he has you, you're locked in. And I remember meeting with him, and I was like, oh, I gotta do something with him. I think at that time, like I maybe had a few short films in that I've done. So, I felt like I was a little bit more confident. And then I took a break to work on 2 features unreleased that, we're still cooking, getting going. But then when I met with him again, it was on another project. Again, same thing. He was just always, no matter what he said, you're just there listening. And I had at the time the movie, the last performance was just a poem. And I remember I was like, I know I want to turn this poem into a movie. Let me just pitch it to him. And we sat and we met and we talked about the movie. He read the poem, and then it kind of just grew into the story we have now. And me and James have been really close ever since. And yeah,
Well,
he's amazing.
I'm smirking for two reasons. One, when you said that, I was thinking about one of my mentors named Monty Trammer. He could
Mm.
tell you about a restaurant that had horse manure, and you would really think about eating it because the way
Uh,
he explained it. And
mm,
the other thing, when you said it, I was thinking about E.F. Hutton, but y'all are probably
mm,
too old, too young to understand what I just said. You just missed that. You don't know who
mm,
E.F. Hutton is. Google
mm,
it. There's an old commercial back in the day about an investment broker or something like that, and they say when E.F. Hutton speaks, everyone listens. It's an amazing old school commercial. But I was going to say that, but look at all your faces, like I don't know who E.F.
mm.
Hutton is. You just called me old. You just called me old. So I mean, this listen. I joined on this thing to talk to you more about this, and we had a couple of meetings, whatever. I talked to Amy about this. Y'all just need to understand how I'm excited. I don't even know a lot about the play. Like all of y'all, I don't know how long y'all been together trying to do this, but when
Mm,
I speak to y'all, like Joy or Christina, this is not your play. This is his play, but it's kind of like yours because the way y'all talk about it is like y'all are in. Does that make sense? And
mm,
I'm in because I want this to be so successful for you, Malachi. Because I don't know what it is. It's just something about you to just like I want to make sure this young man wins. So
mm.
how do you, Joy, actually talk about that? Like, what is it that Malachi has that made you, it could be a good script, a good, movie or whatever it's going to be, but what made you want to do this with him?
I think ultimately I trust Malachi as a creative. I've seen his work done, worked on projects with him. And I think that Malachi is not new to making,
Mhm.
thoughtful, thought-provoking films, right? And even if you go on his YouTube, he's got a great like following because of all the short films he's put out that are all, like on the psychological side or on the horror side. And he has the storytelling props to move his storytelling to the next level. And I
Mm,
think that this is what the last performance is. And I got the privilege to meet and sing with James myself, right? Like you have no idea, like once you see James, right, it's almost as if Malachi is like the Sunday and James is the cherry on top, and
Mhm.
even and all of our cast are like condiments of like this perfect dessert of like casting and like talent. And so I think it was so easy to get on board because I trust Malachi. We have a working relationship, and I love his writing and the stories that he's done. Um, and so this, when he hit me up, he said, Joe, this is your area. The acknowledgement is neutral, right? But that's also
Mhm.
something that's needed in collaboration. Is like mutual acknowledgement of talent in collaboration spirit. And he brought that immediately to me. So it was so easy for me to say, you know what? Let me get on board. And then meeting James, being in the studio with James, I got the privilege to be in the studio and create the song that we did for the concept video that we have on our website. We have a concept music
Mhm.
video, which is amazing, just so showing off the talent of our main cast. And, you know, right then and there, anybody, if you saw that, you'd want to be on board. That's the proof
Mhm.
is in the pudding, right?
Right.
So Malachi, where's the music and stuff coming from? Who did you write the music? Somebody else wrote the music? You know, where's that
Yeah.
coming from?
So for this one, we were writing the music. Me and Joy really working close to do it with the music because Joy's an excellent singer, fantastic singer.
I'm a
So
theater kid. I'm a theater kid. You know what's funny, Warren? Can I just
mm,
say that like my brain was like, oh, LaGuardia High School. And then my brain was like, you said, oh, Fame. And I'm like, Fame, like the musical Fame.
mm,
And so I played Mabel Washington in high school, my version of Fame. If you know that character from
Yeah,
Fame,
yeah, yeah.
she's the, you know,
mm,
I played her, you know, I sang her a song. I played her in the, and so I'm like, oh
mm,
my gosh, you know, God works in such weird ways. Like, and Amy too, you know, working with Amy and knowing that she's gone there as well. My brain was like, wait, Joy, this is the same
Yeah,
thing.
that's the same. Yes, that's the
Yeah,
school.
like my brain
mm,
was like, Joy, wait, you're making a connection here. And Fame, like, you know, as a high schooler doing Fame and being in theater and like understanding, I think that like makes a difference in why we're connected and why it's important that you know, you're interviewing us right now too, you know.
mm,
That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah,
mm.
so my class 88 is the very first class to be strictly LaGuardia. So I didn't go to the old school. It was two schools that came together, performing arts and music and art. And
Mhm.
the class before me, some of those kids actually went to those schools and they came to LaGuardia. But I was, you know, I went straight to LaGuardia and graduated from LaGuardia. So we're the first class coming out of there. But
Wow.
it was one of those things, man. It was a blessing to go to that school, and you didn't realize it while you were there. But all that stuff that people would say, you know, people dancing around and all that stuff, like it was real. Like, you know, I remember going downstairs. The drama department was in the basement, and I remember going downstairs to see a friend of mine, and she was down there crying, like just bawling out. And I'm like, "Yo, you okay?" She's like, "Stop! I'm getting ready for a part." She was getting herself ready to go act,
Mm.
to pass a
Yeah.
class. You know what I'm saying? So that's the stuff that we were used to. So Christina, you
Mhm.
gave me your reasons on, you know, being a part of this, but when we were talking offline, you had mentioned that you kind of changed careers or you were doing something before. What were you doing before getting back into this or doing this?
I I was doing a lot of stuff. So my kind of last two major roles, I was a communication specialist for Bank of America. So
Oh,
I
okay.
was in charge of the global wealth, pretty much the global wealth management communications project. So any information that had to be kind of disseminated to um financial advisors and then to high net worth clients were kind of like my big thing. And then before that, after that job, I was a program manager at Microsoft on a contract basis. So
Oh,
I was in
so
charge,
little companies, little something, little something.
little something in a
Mhm.
contractional type of
Uh,
way. But I was doing a lot
So
of work.
so when we got on this Zoom earlier, everybody, I want everybody to understand what I realized is when Christina came on and she started talking to Malachi and she was kind of like bewildered for a moment. And then Joy came on and she was a little bewildered. And I was like, what are they talking about? Malachi, tell everybody what is new with you. Like why everybody was kind of like, wait a minute, who's that?
yeah, they were referring to my hair. I had locks and I just cut them. So I guess they were taken back by the new look. Ideally. Yeah.
So tell it,
Yeah.
why did you cut him?
I mean, yeah, I think as I was saying earlier, I think it's like, looking for a change, as I said earlier, like sometimes, our hair carries a story, what I mean, it carries a lot of weight, a lot of baggage. And, I'm in such a place in my life now, thankfully that, a lot of good things are happening. And I essentially wanted to enter the new year, facing those good things and those new things with a new mindset. And ideally, the first step would be to cut my hair and anything that kind of comes with, any of the baggage or anything that came with, the process it took for me to get here. Very similar, funny enough, to the story of Willie Montgomery. So, it's a nice little tit for tat on that.
So I joked with you earlier and asked you, did you have kids? Because mine were driving me crazy just before this thing. So I didn't have to cut my hair. I just lost it because, you know, I just lost it all. So when is this short film supposed to come out? And what's your goal? When do you want it to come out? Because you have to raise money and all those other things, but what's your goal to make it come, to get it out there?
I mean, an ideal goal, because we're aiming to shoot early next year. Ideal goal is to have it ready by fall next year. And the big goal for is is to take it as far as we can. I mean, definitely festival runs. There's so much to this story that I would love to tell, but we can't 'cause it's short. So definitely finding opportunities for us to tell more of that story, whether it's through a feature or on the stage. We don't really know where the story could go. Ideally, it's such a big story, and there's just so much that we can add to it that I just feel like whatever comes, the opportunity that comes our way as a team for this project, we're just gonna take it head on. And I'm sure Joy and Christina could agree.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah, Joy, yeah.
I want to because like you said, Malachi, piggybacking off of what you said about the music and the cinema of it and how it can really grow into this like IP that exists on stage and it can be,
Mm-hmm.
we're even doing as one of the perks like the vinyl soundtrack, like you
Mm-hmm.
get a vinyl record that we're making for our patrons who invest, money into our film. We have perks and other things that we're offering the people that are donating so that they can become a part of this intellectual property that we're creating in within something that is so vast but also so relatable to people. The story of what will you sacrifice, what do you sacrifice when you chase your dreams? And
Mm-hmm.
so this music that we have and what we're building here as far as like talent and songs and poetry and blues music, because that's the base, that's the genre that we're in, is blues. And so we get to explore and get to reintroduce people to black art and black craft, and blues being one of those kind of things that are coming back. And that's why we chose and to use that genre as a conduit to push, because now what if we get a blues play, right? Like when's the last time we had a blues play? And we want some more of that on stage too. And so I think this can grow and inspire people to black legacy and what that means in artistic form. And I think plays kind of represent that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But this is this being a short film, we get the freedom to kind of play with the psychological part and the animation part and the cinema of it all. And so we it's genre encompassing and it's medium encompassing, but short film gives us that kind of freedom that to tell this and to let it grow into different things.
Awesome. So what
Mm-hmm.
other actors and actresses are part of this, Malachi? You have those people already?
Oh yeah, no, we have an amazing cast. Oh, fantastic! We have OJ who plays younger Willie, Clyla who plays the love interest, Franco who plays our main character's best friend, and then we have the club owner, pretty much the person who's orchestrating this whole performance, played by Ricardo, for the character Sam Nixon. Yeah, really solid cast. Everybody is fantastic. They're incredible. 10 out of 10. Yeah, I'm just very excited to work with them on this.
If you need a preacher or something, let me know. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm open.
Listen, we can throw something in there. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can throw
No,
something.
it's I joke because my kids act and stuff like that, and my oldest son is an influencer, and I remember
Mhm.
being at Virginia State University and we did these skits. We would joke, and so my character was when somebody asked me a question, and I wasn't a reverend at the time. When they asked me a question, I would talk to them regular, and then I would start preaching to answer the question.
Mhm.
And that was my character. Then I would go back to just talking. That was my character. I'd preach for like, and the Lord said, and I'd just go crazy. Then I go back. So the car is right down the street, and you make a right. And that was
Mhm.
the joke. So my son was thinking about having me do that on his influencing page, So,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
Malachi, if you need a preacher in this blues thing, let me know. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I can find a spot.
Yeah,
I can
not,
find a
not,
spot.
not a problem. All you gotta just pay me Philly cheesesteaks, and I'm good. That's all I need. That's my
Oh,
payment.
that's easy. Oh, that's easy.
Joy's like, why Philly
That's,
cheesesteak?
I'm like, he must really like those.
yeah, no, that's my assumption.
We'll talk about that later. But anyway, listen, y'all. I'm excited that this is coming about, and my goal, and in my business partner Mark Vinciguerra, he's the president of Capital Region Independent Media and NYVT Media, and I told him about this. He started a thing called In Play. It's one of
Mhm.
our brands that under that brand, we talk about and do news on everything happening in the world of the arts. And so, this is important to us, and we're diving deeper and deeper into this because the arts are important. I mean, like I said to y'all before, the reason you see me here, y'all, and everybody, I'm vice president or whatever, is because the arts kept me out of trouble. I was singing somewhere, I was going to music and art, and I wasn't doing some other things. So it changes the lives of people around them. And I will tell you, the Berkshires where I live, there's so many people that come together because of the arts. So Malachi, I applaud you. I'm happy that if I can help out any way, I want this to be successful. And we'll have all the details, everybody, for you to be able to help with this program. But as we go around, Christina, do you want any last words you want to say about this
I was
project?
just thinking, if this were a play, I could see, later down the road, I could see it being a vehicle for change because it is, you think about it, it's a man that made certain decisions about how he was going to become an artist. And that's kind of like the quintessential American dream, if you think about it. You don't have to be artists. But um, a lot of people have made certain decisions in their lives to get to where they are. And it's just in a slightly different genre and a certain slightly different way of storytelling, but it is the American dream. Um, and I think that people who once they get to see the film, the short film adaptation, can understand that as well.
Awesome. Joy?
I want to shout out what the team is doing wherever we are. Like we are on Instagram, building crazy community and really giving a much more deeper dive than we could talk about on here. Just like what is our inspirations, their words, talking. You can have conversations and talk with us on Instagram, but not only that, we have our artists there. You can we've asked them questions, we have interviews with them, we have snippets of our music. It is a whole ecosystem on our Instagram. And shout outs to Christina for maintaining that. Our team is we're so lucky to have each other because we all bring such a amazing teamwork and effort and collaborative spirit to this project. So I wanted to shout that out. Most of all, I just I can't be more grateful. So I want people to really go on our website and immerse themselves in what we have already. If this is exciting you, if you're like, yo, this is my steez, you can go into deep dive, go down the rabbit hole of the last performance because we have the content out there already, even before we've raised the money and started, we're starting pre-production, but even before we've shot, we have so much content surrounding this already that we have on our website and on our Instagram and on our other socials too, where you can really get involved, but also get immersed and get into the feeling of what we're trying to tell you here, which is, what will you do? What's your cost for the life that you want? And I think since it's relatable, it's beautiful, it's musical, it's an environment that we've created for you. So please go and enjoy what we've made already and become involved. And that's what I want to tell everybody today because we're building something really beautiful and we want y'all to be a part of it because you'll want to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Awesome. So before I go to you, Malachi, I've been trying to figure out, Joy, who you remind me of. It's MC Light.
Really?
Yes, you remind me of MC Light, your voice.
Yeah, I'm a raspy girl. I'm a raspy girl. That's the gift God has given me. I'll take it. When I was young, I was like, this is hard because you have a deeper voice than the guys that kind of make fun of you. But I think now that I'm older, I've settled into it and it's become like a gift, I think.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. But that's you when you speak, I want to listen. You're E.F. Hutton as well. Google who that is. So Malachi, brother. So what's your last words? How you talk about this, what this means to you and your next steps.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of what Joy and Christina said, this project is such a big project. There's like so many things that we could really go with this story and the community we've built with this film has been incredible. The outreach that we've gotten, the traction that it's built has been amazing, and to the point, I think it's because of like what we're telling, the story we're telling, what we're trying to bring to people. Ideally the cost of fame, and also the effects it has on ourselves and other people, because we dive in a bit into like mental illness as well, and men as well specifically, and how it affects our family and friends, and the things that kind of come on as time kind of goes on with like addiction and just like an obsession for something bigger, even delusion, you could say too. So I think there's just so much that we're trying to tell, and it means a lot because it draws from a lot of personal experience, and I feel like it could really connect to with a lot of other artists and filmmakers and creators who kind of live in that same realm, or trying to find a way out, and a way out of themselves, in a sense. So yeah, no, it's just I'm really really grateful to have the team I have, Joy, Christina, and our other Amy, other producer Jesse. Just an incredible team, and we really just kind of hope to again take this to the top, and hopefully we see what's next after this one. But we can only go up from here.
Awesome. Well, once again, everybody, this is Warren Dews with Capital Region Independent Media, NYVT Media, and we're gonna play this video probably on all of our networks, so you'll be seeing it soon. Once again, shout out to my business partner Mark Vinciguerra, and we're excited to be a part of this, to help you out with this, man. And just remember us when this blows up and you're making millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Just remember us. And everybody, you heard it here first. It's documented that he said he's going to give me a part in the play. He said it. He said it here.
I did. No, we have a sign. We have a sign. Confirm.
So anyway, once again, peace, everybody. Once again, this is Warren Dews out.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm James Brown Orleans, and I am a storyteller. I'm currently a storyteller in The Lion King on Broadway. I play the role of Bonsai. Bonsai is one of the main three hyenas. I'm also a filmmaker and a singer-songwriter, so stories are my passion. And I have been blessed to be a storyteller in The Lion King for 24 amazing years. The thing that inspired me to say yes to the last performance was the brilliant writer and director of this film, Malachi Alexis. As a black man who was still trying to make his way in this business, it was important for me to cheer him on. But because Malachi is such a genius at what he does, it was truly, truly an honor to say yes. I believe this is a journey that's going to make us both better human beings, better artists, and hopefully inspire others to also step out in faith and share their passion. Thank you.
I just have a few quick updates to make on the progress that we've made so far with our fundraising campaign. This film is gaining a lot of momentum, and I'm happy to share that. With a $35,000 budget, we've made significant progress through our outreach campaign, and we have been met with some awesome feedback about the film's proof of concept video. That to me confirms that this story is resonating with a lot of people. If you haven't done so already, I urge you to go onto our website to watch our proof of concept video. There's a great deal that's unfolding behind the scenes, and we're just getting started, so hold on. Make sure you turn on your notification button to receive our latest updates. We have a lot of things that we're rolling out the top of January 1, so be sure to stay tuned. Please visit our website for more information about the film. Click on that donate button and give as much as you desire. There is no amount that is too small. With your support, we are working to bring this film to fruition by the end of the first quarter of 2026. Thank you all for taking the time to listen. Thank you to my team for all the hard work and dedication to seeing this film to its fruition. Lastly, thank you again to you, Warren, and your staff for pulling this interview together during the holiday season. Your contributions have been enormous, and we thank you and appreciate you for that.